Are you ready for an unforgettable journey through Black history? This March, I'm inviting you to join me on an exclusive tour of Tulsa's historic Greenwood District, better known as Black Wall Street. You'll walk in the footsteps of history with living descendants of the Black Wall Street Massacre, explore the new Black Wall Street Museum that opened in 2021, and visit iconic historic sites. Plus, you'll get to dine at Black-owned Southern restaurants and experience the vibrant culture of this incredible community. Don't miss this powerful opportunity to honor our ancestors and celebrate Black excellence. Spots are limited, so email me today at mike@nativebblackancestry.com to reserve your place. Let's make history together.
How Afro get in front of my mother race. I ain't never been to Africa. I never been to Africa. Afro or Africa. Never been there. I'm not from Africa. I'm born and raised in Goose, Florida. I'm born in Goose, raised in Liberty City in the Poker Bean Project. I ain't never went to Africa. I ain't thinking about going there. And I heard it's a beautiful place. Yeah. And I know it's the motherland, yes. But not my mother, not her mother, and not her mother's mother. That ain't their land. America, real true land is right here in the U.S. soils.
I'm not an African American. I'm an American. I was born on American soil.
Saying that we all come from Africa, that's the biggest damn lie. Indian, indigo, black, natives, we the real indigenous tribe. I'm the original man of America, due to the might of Conjural E. So that means every single last race in this world come from me. So if I created you, how the fuck you on my land first? Trying to claim my shit, man, I've been history. My people was done the worst. You not no native, please just be honest. You really a $5 Indian. Pay $5 to take my land. You know you a fraud. You not one of them. The government changed our name just so we don't get no reparations. Colored, black, Negro, African American is what they changed our name to. We is the Cherokee, we is the Iroquois and the Apache. We is the Cheyenne, we the Californians, we the American Aboriginal Native man. Comment part 2. If y'all want me to go deeper, tired of people saying we African when we is the original.
Know about slavery, but few discuss paper genocide. We did not all come from Africa, and most of us have Aboriginal roots that were stripped away due to reclassification and miseducation. As a native Black American and a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, I understand the importance of tracing your lineage. If you want to learn how to trace your genealogy and apply for tribal citizenship, go to nativebblackancestry.com to schedule a consultation.
They don't want you to remember this. You not no slave, you indigenous. Fuck how they painted them Indians. You went to war with the French and the British, man. Quite frankly, you was kings, Merovingians. They took the women and men, made them prisoners, raised up the children to worship their images, set up a lab to the genes and they mixed them, and this shit get way deeper than your pigment.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me get some fists and feathers in the chat if you can hear me loud, crisp, and clear, and we'll go ahead and get this party started. We're living in a time of grand awakening. A great reveal is upon us. I mean, just earlier in the week, we have Mexican officials who are acknowledging melanated Aboriginals, Black indigenous, native Black Americans, whatever you want to call it. I mean, guys, my tribe is the Muskogee Creek Nation. And when I was learning more about my tribe, I learned that it's actually within my tribe's oral tradition and whatnot that we actually migrated from Central or South America at one point. And when you actually start to look into the history of Mesopotamia, you talk about the Aztecs, or excuse me, I don't know why I just said Mesopotamia. That's like the Middle East or something. Mesoamerica. I'm at Mesoamerica, y'all. Forgive me. Mesoamerica. When you look into the Aztecs, the Mayan, the Olmec, when you start to look at the statues that they left behind, especially when you get to looking at them Olmec heads, you're like, oh, wait a minute, it was Black indigenous folks over there too. And for whatever reason, the Mexican government is now going to acknowledge them, is now going to give them rights, privileges, certain set-asides. I mean, let's go ahead and get into it.
Let's talk about it.
Presidenta de Mexico,
Let's go.
Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo, signed 2 edicts into law, which are breathtaking to say the least. What she did and what she signed into the Mexican Constitution are 2 parts. The first part was that the indigenous people within Mexico of many different tribes will now have the ability to have their own sovereign nations.
Oh, okay.
Now, bear with me here. So basically, a commission is set up to recognize those indigenous nations within Mexico and teach them and show them how they can rule autonomously and set up their own rulership over their own people, because there's a lot of indigenous different tribes within Mexico. The second part of that.
Now, while this is cool, while it's great getting the acknowledgement that the indigenous people deserve, I always got to look at things with bombastic side eye. What would be the government's motivation? Guys, picture this. If you have so many spread out indigenous communities that aren't really a part of the main overarching governmental structure of Mexico, you know, maybe they all aren't registered as citizens, don't have birth certificates, social security numbers, aren't taxed. Well, maybe instead of rounding them up and doing census records and trying to get a handle on it, why don't you say that you're giving them a reservation, autonomy to do their own thing, and then they will do that work for you. They will round up their fellow indigenous members, form a tribal constitution, go on a certain area of land, and I'm sure it'll be much, much easier to tax, regulate, and keep track of these people than ever before. So although this is a great thing, probably, we still have to look at it with a little era of pessimism, because this is politics. There's always a ulterior motive. It's like if they came to us Black Americans and were like, hey, we're finally going to admit you guys are indigenous, so we're going to give you some land and a way to like set up your government and give you a blueprint. Wait a minute. Why y'all want us to do this exactly? How do you benefit from this exactly?
Edict that was signed into the Mexican Constitution recognizes, and hear me out here, afro-indigenous. So, and that basically states that written into the Mexican Constitution, it is now law that the afro-indigenous are recognized as full citizens.
And that is something to watch out for. Indigenous by blood says most of them are the offspring of Spanish conquistadors, colonizers. You'll have the equivalent of the Dolls Roll and the $5 Indians. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of descendants of conquistadors trying to sign up on them tribal rolls and get they check and get some recognition. I wouldn't be surprised if the darker indigenous people don't get ostracized like how they did the freedmen in the southeastern United States.
Mexico, and are afforded their indigenous status. And then she went on to state that Mexico recognizes that Afro-indigenous people were on this continent hundreds of years before the Spaniards stepped 1 foot on the soil.
Bang.
It completely changes the narrative of what we've been taught. It completely changes the idea that Columbus was here and there's just Mexicans. It flips it right on its head. Everything is out the door. This is a very intelligent woman. And what she has stated are what people on different social media platforms have been saying for years.
Come on, we've been saying this for years. All this is confirmation. That's all it is. Now, next time you come across some dumbass who's trying to call you a wabo or pretendian, hey, why is even the Mexican government acknowledging Black indigenous people? They may call them Afro-indigenous, but let's keep it a buck. Africans don't rock no afros. We do. Who they talking about when they say an afro? Afro don't mean African. Matter of fact, we can go a step further. The Mexican government is acknowledging that long before the Spanish conquistadors set foot in the Americas, they were melanated Aborigines, right? Well, just last week, I came across paintings from a Dutch artist. And this Dutch artist traveled with Spanish conquistadors. And he painted depictions of the American Indians he saw. And goddamn, y'all, you might want to be sitting down for this one. You know, we've been made victims of paper genocide. You know, they try to convince us that them Asiatic mongoloid looking immigrants that came from the Bering Strait or however they got over here, you know, they always try to make them the face of indigenous Americans, right? But no, I found this painting, multiple paintings from a Dutch artist. These are in a museum in London somewhere. And this Dutch artist was rolling with the Spanish conquistadors. And he drew what he saw. And you will be amazed when you see this. You will, wow, the phenotype, y'all. The phenotype, the hair texture. Oh, Lord. This is really going to make you say, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me just a moment. This is crazy, y'all. This is crazy. You see, when it comes to the British, they want to reclassify us. They want to lie. But when it comes to the Dutch, the French, the Spaniards, they were very open and honest about the melanated people they saw over here. But check this out. Check this out. Check this out. This is one of the images. Dutch painter by the name of, what was his name again? It was something Bergamot. You know, hold on just a moment. I'm going to change the view for just a second so that I can get the name. Hans Berkmer. Hans Berkmer. The artist is Hans Berkmer. This is what Hans Berkmer says the Aboriginal people look like. And you know what I'm actually going to have to do so that you can really see this in all its glory? Is I'm going to separate these files real quick on the fly. I'm going to separate these files individually so I can blow them up for you. I want you guys to see this in detail. Check this out. Come on, y'all. Check this out. They always trying to push. Nah, we ain't going for it. We are not going for it. Bear with me a moment. Check this out. Now I can zoom in. Here we go. Look at this. Who does this look like to you? Let's zoom in on that hair. Let's zoom in on that afro. Look past the headdress. Look past the feathers. That's coily hair. That's an afro. That's not no straight hair. That's not no slanty eye looking native. Nah, I found the receipts, y'all. The king of receipts reigns supreme. Look at this. Black Indian man. Central and South America. That's what they saw. So it's cool that the Mexican government is acknowledging us, but we've been saying this for years. We've been knowing this for years. I ain't gonna front. I only came into this knowledge like within the last couple years. I grew up all my life thinking I was just a Black American. I was just African American. But until I did my genealogy, until I traced my lineage, until I applied for tribal citizenship and was granted it, then I started to do further research and say, wait a minute, most of us Black Americans, we indigenous.
You enlighten me to, go harder, dig for my ancestral roots. You know what I'm saying? Because the more you find out, the more you know. All of the history that we have been taught in school, it just don't line up to all the new truth they're finding out. So you have to dig for the truth, man. And I appreciate Mike enlightening me and pushing me to go harder. So peace to you, Mike. I think everybody should dig deep and holler at your boy Mike, and he'll give you the genealogy, constellation, and y'all go from there.
Come on, y'all. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Why is a Dutch artist painting the indigenous people like this? What reason? What reason other than that's what he saw? I don't know why any painter would go to a foreign land and just make something up. You know what? The indigenous people really look like yellow and red and Asiatic, but we're going to make them look like a Black man. Nah. We ain't going for it. As a matter of fact, guys, I have another one of his paintings. Give me just a second. I got another one of his paintings. This is an older gentleman, I believe. This looks like a more seasoned Black Indian, but check this out. This is what the Dutch is painting. When the Dutch man comes over here to the Americas, he says this is what he sees. These paintings sit in a museum in London. You can look up the artists. Come on, y'all. Come on. Let me get some fists and feathers in the chat if this is one of the first times that you've seen some of these depictions with, dare I say, a more true original phenotype. I mean, they always push the straight hair native, but we finally seeing some with the kinky hair and the fro. We always knew in our heart of hearts that the indigenous people, not all of them, but some of them, look synonymous to a Black American. But we don't really have a lot of the images. We don't have the pictures. I mean, photography wasn't even around until what, the mid to late 1800s. But when I do the research and I go through the archives, now we get to the source. Matter of fact, I found another one. This time we're gonna go to the Caribbean. This time we're gonna go over to the Caribbean. This is a totally different artist, but let's see what this European artist paints as the indigenous people that they saw over in the Caribbean. Let's see. And you know what? I believe this one will have the name of the artist. I want to also be able to give you guys the name of the artist. So if you guys wanted to look up the artist, okay, here we go. Here we go. Check this out. Check this out. Caribbean, South America. This is what the artists say they saw. Let's talk about it. Why does Albert Eckhart in 1641 paint the indigenous people of the Caribbean like this? Damn, if that ain't a Black woman. Good Lord, if that ain't a Black woman. Okay. All right. Let's talk about it. I think Albert has another one here. Oh, yeah. Albert has another one here. Why is Albert painting the indigenous people of the Caribbean like this? I wonder. Damn, John Baptiste de Brit, 1798. The native Brazilians. All right. Let's talk about it. I'm not sure if you guys have realized this phenomenon, but the more that time goes on, the less and less they estimate slaves that came over here to the Americas. I met with a couple genealogy clients last week. I remember this distinctly. They were both elders. I had back-to-back consultations, right? And they were both born in the 60s. And they told me, Mike, when we was going through school, Africana studies, college, all this shit, they were telling us that 100 million slaves were trafficked during the transatlantic slave trade. 100 million slaves. I said, damn, that's wild. I was born in 94. My generation, we were taught that it was 12.8 million. You see how in a couple decades, they take the number from 100 million to 12.8? And then out of the 12.8 in little fine print, they say, yeah, and less than 4% of those slaves came to North America. Damn. So much for the slave trade narrative they try to force upon us. Did the transatlantic slave trade happen? Yes. Most of them went to South America. Most of them went to the Caribbean. And there were already melanated indigenous people as well. So it's to say, if anything, the folks in the Caribbean and South America have some mixed ancestry. But Lord, oh Lord, we got to go back in time to get the the real paintings, as you can see. But let's get back to the news of the Mexican government officially acknowledging Black indigeneity.
Black man was already here. The Black man was already here. We didn't come in slave ships. That's not feasible. It would have taken too many ships. They would lose too many people. But if you're taken from Mexico and South America and taken off the coast and sat off the coast for a couple months and then brought up and dropped off in Boston, that makes it a hell of a lot more feasible, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Afro-indigenous were here hundreds of years before the Spaniards showed up. I'll put this into perspective. The English Bible, the most widely sold book in history, the Bible, New Testament, Old Testament, you can go back in that Bible to the beginning of time of man.
Okay.
Adam, Eve, his wife, conceived from the rib of Adam, and the Creator took that rib. Their children Cain and Abel, and how that conflict and one brother slew the other. The creation of the earth, the waters, the fish in the deep, the firmament. Okay, enough Bible lesson for today. But yet we can't go back before Columbus. What was the black man's history? How did he get here? The Phoenician? The Israelite?
Hey, look.
Let's talk about it, y'all. Let's talk about it. Rose says, and there is no way they ship that much cargo with no documentation. Facts. When I do my one-on-one genealogy consultations, and some of my clients actually take a step further and hire me to actually trace their ancestry all the way back to the early 1800s, late 1700s, and I seldom find anyone that descends from an African. I've literally had 2 out of the hundreds of clients I've helped. I've had 2 people who've had African ancestry, and we could literally find their ancestors on the slave schedules. We can find the ship manifest that they came in through, but the average Black American doesn't have that lineage. No, 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 no. Furthermore, I'm starting a private collection. There's a special announcement, guys. Special announcement, special announcement. If you haven't checked out my website, nativeblackancestry.com, I urge you to check it out. I have a new membership option that I'm rolling out. Inner Circle, $9.99 a month. And what you're going to have access to if you pay that $9.99 a month is this book list tab. And what I'm creating with this book list tab is the largest online database of Native Black American historical documentation on the internet. This is going to be nothing but books on books and books about our ancestral lineage. I'm talking about books from the Mormons from the 1820s. I'm talking Masonic order textbooks that talk about the ancient indigenous melanated people of the Americas. So many gems, so many gems, so many gems. But you know what? Some of these books I also have on Internet Archive. So let me give you a quick example on one of these books. Although I'm going to be starting the online historical archive where you guys can access that information, I'm also starting a physical library. I'm going to start, buying some books, buy a bookshelf, stocking up, build a nice little collection. And this is actually the first book that I'm going to be buying. This is a $300 book. I already ordered it, comes next week. Here's the book right here. It's not the one by Mary, it's the one by John. Here we go. Here we go. America being the latest and most accurate description of the New World, containing the original of the inhabitants and the remarkable voyages thither, the conquest of the vast empires of Mexico and Peru, and other large provinces and territories. This is one of the first ones. A lot of gems in this book. But you know what? Another one that I'm getting as well, this one was 1876. This one is 1876. Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. No, it's not the one by Mary. It's a different one. Is it the Etymological report? No. You know what? I've been looking at it on eBay since I was going to buy it. Let me see if I can find it on eBay. I was just messaging back and forth with the bookstore people. Hold on, y'all. We're going to drop a gem. Give me a moment. I'm going to find the book. I promise. We freestyling right now. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I was messaging back and forth with her. This other book I'm copying, $150. You see how they hide the information behind a paywall, right? A Popular History of the United States of America by John Ridpath, 1876. Guys, this book is crazy. This book goes through all the earliest voyages, all the everything. Matter of fact, I think the bookstore owner sent me a picture because I was trying to make sure before I buy this book that there wasn't no pages missing or none of that bullshit, right? So hold on a moment. I was messaging them and I made sure they sent me some photos. Here we go. Here we go. Look at what's in this book. They going deep with it. They going deep. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and switch over to Internet Archive so I can really show you what I want to show you. A Popular History of the United States of America by John. Yes, the one by John. John Internet Archive. Yeah, Internet Archive is your best friend. I tell you. Is it this one? Is it this one? I don't think it's this one. Nah, it's not this one. Hold on, y'all. We freestyling. Bear with me now. I know I'm normally much more polished than this, but bear with me. It'll be well worth it. Okay, here we go. It is that one. Let's go to, I want to say it's page 44. I want to say it's around page 44. Look at how deep they get in this book. Look at how deep. They're given a list of all notable historical events that led to the quote unquote discovery of America. Pink, everything we see in pink says America under the Aboriginal tribes, but they're going back to the earliest voyages. I'm talking even when the Vikings started coming over, talking about the Vinland era. Look at this. We got the Union of Castile and Leon, the Danish kings of England, the Normans. They're taking it all the way. They even documented when Christopher Columbus was born, when he first came over. It talks about the Virginia Company, the Plymouth Company, the discovery of Columbus, all of it, y'all. These are all the main voyages. This is how deep we get. Well, we got to go to a book written in goddamn 1876 to find this kind of information. And then the book is $150. So y'all see how they hide the info, right? You see how they play in our face and hide the info. And the reason why I really wanted to mention this book is because I already started looking through this book on Internet Archive. Oh, and you know what? Another thing that was so interesting about this book is it actually told about the different structures of lineage. Check this out. They actually compare how Europeans structure their family to how indigenous people structure their family. This is how deep we getting. This is the type of shit they was mapping out in 1876. This right here, and actually, let me put a single page so it's bigger for you. Let me put a single page. This is a diagram of European kinship. This is the European family tree, right? Great grandson, grandson, son, father, brother. This is how the Europeans get down. And they totally juxtapose that to how the Indians do it. This is how the Indians organize their familial structure. So we got to go to $150 books written over 100 years ago in order to find this type of information. And the reason why I really wanted to bring up this book out of all other ones is because this book talks about the indigenous people, the copper-colored races found. They theorize over whether we're Israelites, yada, yada, yada. But you know what's very interesting? They mention slavery, they mention slave laws, but there is not one single mention of any voyage from Africa to America bringing slaves. They document in all these voyages, all this shit. They talk about the slave laws, they talk about the slave codes, but they never once write in this book in 1876, they never once write about any African slaves at all. I wonder why. Riddle me that. And now we got Mexican officials acknowledging that black folks was in Mesoamerica before the Spanish conquistadors. I mean, this is a time to be alive. This is a hell alive. Let's talk about it, y'all. Let's talk about it. But this content creator is going to give a great breakdown. You guys should definitely check out this brother's YouTube channel. It's called 432 The Drop Radio. Check out the game he's about to kick.
Connecting right back here. You tie the indigenous American history with the Hebrew, biblical history, Monogamy. Now you go and ping pow all over the place. Now things are happening. Right now you tie in this Mongolian flow, this Genghis Khan flow, and you are out of here, boss. You out of here, baby. Woo. So we dropped this already. You got it uninterrupted. Right now you came here for the interruption because, you know, we're going to talk about it. Like when he says Afra, we know we're talking about natural by law. We're not talking necessarily Africa. Some people, you know, get it a little confused. You know, they think Afro has to do with African, the continent of Africa. And Afro is really, you know, more of a phenotype, you know what I'm saying? Who's growing the Afro? You don't see a bunch of Africans necessarily rocking afro or rocking the locks, you know what I'm saying? My mom went to Nigeria. She's like, man, you know, I only saw like one person with locks out there. That's not really their thing like that. That's kind of in a, you know, indigenous American flow, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we're tribal and we get along with all tribes, but, you know, unless you're hijacking us. If you don't let us be us, you're hijacking us. If you keep bringing us into some black hole of you African, you're African, you're African, and we're not.
Oh, hold up. And some people in the chat are asking about the title of that book. You know what? I'll just go ahead and put the link in the chat. This is the Internet Archive link to that book I was just referencing. Talked about the history of America, the Aboriginal tribes, written in 1876. And you know what? Another thing I want to bring up real quick, just to show how they play in our faces and hide things behind a paywall. Check this out. We're going to go back to Internet Archive real quick. We're going to check out my little list of some must reads. Check this one out. All right. Where's the one from Mary? Where's the one from Mary? Good old Mary. Mary Botham. Check this shit out, y'all. A popular history of the United States of America from the discovery of the American continent to present time. Check out how much this book costs. I told y'all I'm starting a library. I say, you know what? I want this a part of my collection as well. Let's look up how much this book costs, y'all. I swear it was like $700. I'm not kidding you. I swear it was like $700. Let me see if I can find it somewhere. Let me see. We got a Project Gutenberg. Oh, they don't even got it for sale. Hold on. I'm going to type in for sale. Because I kid you not, I was looking up this book earlier today. And I seen a price tag somewhere for like $700. I said, hold up, wait a minute. Don't play with me now. Don't play with me. Oh, and you know what? I believe it was a first edition. That may have also played a role in the increase in price. Oh, yeah, here we go. Here we go. Didn't I tell you the book? A Popular History of the United States of America by Mary Howard. Sweet little Mary. And they want $744 for this book. If you want to get the real deal spiel about what the Europeans was talking about in the early 1800s, well, goddamn, you got to pay damn near a rack. Volume 1 and Volume 2, okay. All right. You know, the way my checking and my savings is working, I ain't really got it right now. But as long as you folks keep booking genealogy consultations, I'll be able to invest in expanding the library. But until then, we're going to read this for free 99 on Internet Archive. You feel me? Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen from the church congregation? Thank God for Internet Archive.
Then you're hijacking us. But if you acknowledge our sovereignty, right, as Americans, as the Indians and Indian Superior, right, as the autochtons, right, the originals, the naturals, natural by law, right, love to the con. The Nagas with restorative powers because they got the aniya, the powers of the growth. Yeah, the essence, the being, born with the being, right? Born.
Hey, and if there was ever a advertisement I can run to motivate you guys to pay the little $9.99 to get a subscription to my website and get access to the book list I'm updating this weekend, if there was ever a reason for you to do so, it's because I'm going to hip you to some text that you ain't never knew existed. Watch this. Watch this. Look at the kind of information I have access to that I can easily give you access to. Watch this. We're going to go back to my list on Internet Archive. And when I did my family tree, I found something peculiar. I found that I had Black Indians part of the family that were Freemasons. And I also had European ancestry, and they were also Freemasons. So that led me to look into some Masonic teachings. And you know what that led me to? That led me to this book, The Ancient Mystic Oriental Masonry. It's teaching rules and laws for present usages which govern the order of the present day. And this book right here, oh boy, this book right here. Check this out. I'm going to read just a page or two. Check this out and hold up. I'm going to go by keyword, type in the keyword America. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is why y'all going to want to drop that $9.99 because I'm gonna make you aware of books you ain't even know existed. Let's go ahead and put this on single page so y'all can see that's nice and big. Check this shit. This is what these Freemasons is talking about behind closed doors. They don't want you to know. You got to join their fraternities and do the weird homosexual hazing rituals in college and all kinds of shit to get down with the get down, y'all. Let's check this out. This says, and mind you, this book was written in 1878. Okay. The cradle of the symbolism used in all masonry is placed by many of the best authorities in that country which they believe was first inhabited, i.e., the plateau of Tartary, and from there transmitted to this generation by the sages of India, Persia, Ethiopia, and Egypt. We are not indebted to either ancient Egypt for either religion or masonry, but to America. Oh yeah, y'all, let's do some reading. Reading is oh so fundamental, don't you know?
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere, friends to know and ways to grow, a reading rainbow. I can be anything. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. A reading rainbow. A reading rainbow. A reading rainbow. A reading rainbow.
Hey, y'all know that we really gonna read some profound shit when I play the whole Reading Rainbow song, okay? When I play the whole Reading Rainbow song, that's when you know it's about to really get real on Mike TV. Check this out. Oh Lord, subscribing to my website for $9.99 to get the book list that I constantly update. Oh yeah, that's gonna be well worth $9.99. Check this. It is a fact that at Memphis, Egypt, in the pyramids, under the guidance of the kings, the mystic rites of masonry were worked many thousands of years ago. But at that time, Egypt and the continent of America were one and the same. Guys, you know how even the most Pan-African out of us, you know the most Pan-African you run into, they cherry pick Egypt for some reason, right? They cherry pick the pyramids and the Sphinx and the gold and the Nubians. Why do they cherry pick that? Well, let's see what the Freemasons are hiding. They're saying that at that time, Egypt and the continent of America were one and the same. In America, rediscovered in the 15th century and repopulated in the 17th, was recovered Egypt and the Promised Land, or the land of the constellation of the eagle. No matter how numerous or complicated the works of a lock may be, if but the right key be applied, the Great Pyramid proves to be the long-sought key to the mysteries at once of mythology and of the great world religions. Especially interesting is it to Americans in this year of the Columbian celebration of the 400th anniversary of the rediscovery of America. See, guys, they're talking about it being rediscovered. They got cut off from the side of the world. There was a cataclysm, a flood, a certain biblical events, and they got cut off and they had to rediscover us over here. To see it demonstrated that the cosmic terrors, oh, hold on, next page now. That the cosmic terrors interwoven with the very sharpened woof of all sacred literature, Christian and pagan, refer to the occurrences as literally true as the earthquake of Lisbon, these stupendous events being connected primarily with the great destruction and recovery of equilibrium, they're talking about the flood, in the solar system, and secondly with the consequent wrecking of the continent of America when the globe became involved in the consequences of the disorder of the skies. guys. Science nowadays calls this the Younger Dryas. This is an event that actually happened, the Younger Dryas. They say it was a constellation, a comet or something, right? It caused the Great Flood. Let's talk about it, guys. A disorder of the skies. America, known to the mystic as Atlantis. Let me repeat that for the people who didn't hear that. America, known to the mystic as Atlantis, when this ruin befell, was the seat of the greatest empire that has ever existed, and its irresistible armies were terrorizing all Europe and Asia. Guys, let's read that again. It said that we were the seat of the greatest empire that ever existed, and our irresistible armies were terrorizing all of Asia and Europe. Study of the American constellation Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricornus reveals the immemorial antiquity of the name of America and the significance of the arms of the United States. The fact once recognized that it is impossible to separate the eagle from America, or the land shadowed with wings of Isaiah, over which accordingly appear two grand eagles, the red swan flying down the Milky Way, and the winged steed, Pegasus and Equus, all the wings known to astronomy, without taking the bear from Russia, Perseus from Persia, and a flood of light is poured upon the history and mythology, and we're here for much has been vague and inscrutable. Now we are able at least to see men as trees walking. When following the course of the constellations, those immovably and perpetually fastened upon America are reached. It will appear that, oh guys, check this one out. This one's going to be a bar. Check this one out. I hope you're sitting down. It will appear that while all that is sublime in the historic past centers upon Egypt, all that is sublime in the prehistoric past centers upon America or Atlantis. Let me say that again for the people who didn't hear. It's saying, yeah, Egypt is ancient. Egypt is very ancient. Yes, Egypt is ancient. But America, Atlantis, that's prehistoric. That's dinosaurs. That's prehistoric. Come on, y'all. I wonder how much they sell this book for. Egypt, all that is sublime in the prehistoric past, centers upon America. Egypt is only the historic past. If we get to prehistoric, we got to talk about the Americas or Atlantis. And as the curtain which has hitherto concealed the prehistoric connection between the peoples of ancient Egypt and of America is lifted, it will be seen that the people of the eagle on the Nile, being descendants from the original people of the eagle on this continent, the twain are one. And that prehistoric America was the original Egypt or Eagle Land, prior to the mighty dispensation in the days of Peleg, when the earth was divided and the great globe itself was nearly rent asunder. Firstborn among continents, America has been falsely denominated the New World. Hers was the first dry land lifted out of the waters. Hers was the first shore washed by the ocean that enveloped all the earth besides. And while Europe was represented only by islands rising here and there above the sea, America or Atlantis already stretched in an unbroken line of land from Nova Scotia to the far west. America was evidently peopled from the old continent because there were only 8 persons saved at the deluge. When they talk about the deluge, they talk about the flood. We get in Hebrew biblical, right? The principal part of their posterity during the whole of the first century after that event occupied the very center of Asia. Some say that America was peopled by the Carthaginians who possessed the Cape Verde Islands, which are only 3 weeks' sail from the continent. Their ships having women and children on board might miss the intended islands before the invention of the compass. And if so, they would inevitably be driven by the trade winds to the coast of America. Others, judging from the similarity of some religious rites, have conjectured that it was peopled by the 10 tribes at the dispersion of Israel. Some think it received its population from China or Japan, others that it was colonized by some wandering tribes of Japheth, who penetrated into the trackless regions of North America by the Straits of Asia. Now we're talking about the Indians that came through the Bering Strait. See how this all plays a part? Some have been bold enough to assert that America was not inundated by the deluge, and that consequently the Aborigines were antediluvians and the most ancient people on earth, which the last assertion is correct. Damn. Basically, what he's saying is that when that biblical flood happened, it did destroy most of the Americas, but some people survived, and they're the antediluvians, the most ancient people on earth. Others suppose that there were few individuals preserved on this vast continent at the deluge, that it might be without difficulty peopled. And we are told that America was peopled after the deluge, at the same time, as it were, with other parts of the earth, equidistant from the spot whereon the ark is acknowledged to have grounded. For the grand division of the eastern and western hemispheres through the natural effect of causes operating from the deluge did not take place till about half a century after the event. Basically, what they're saying is it wasn't until almost 100 years after the flood that the continents got separated. And thus a subject that has uniformly puzzled the most learned historians and philosophers, and given ground for the most elaborate dissertations, namely the matter by which America was peopled, appears to be made simple and easy, as are all those questions that are submitted to the ordeal of truth, the infallible attestations of Holy Writ. Robertson supposes the Americans to have derived their original from the Asiatics, and supports his conjecture by some ancient traditions amongst the Mexicans, which ascribe their primitive population to a horde from a remote country to the northwest, whose gradual progress from the northern coast, where they landed, to the interior provinces is distinctly traced. And in the infancy of Christianity, Mexico is said to have been in a more advanced state of civilization than Denmark, Sweden, and Russia. Yeah, you heard that right. When the Christians were just in their infancy, the Americas, Mexico in particular, was more advanced than any of the things they had going over there. Vast cities, Aztec, Maya, Olmec, Montezuma. Matter of fact, do y'all know that Montezuma was a black Indian? I mean, I just found a painting of him the other day. I didn't even know. When we talk about Montezuma, this is Montezuma. Let's go ahead and zoom in a bit. Look at the city behind him. Look at the They want you to believe that indigenous people were roaming around living in teepees like nomads and shit. That was them Asians that came by way of the Bering Strait or however they got over here. But the indigenous people, the copper colored races, they were oh so advanced. Let's talk about it, y'all. But see, reading that text has perfectly segued us back to Mexico. So let's continue that video on the Mexican government acknowledging the indigeneity of the melanated Mexicans.
Born with the being, the essence is the native, is the natural. Nature is the original. So if you're talking native, you're talking original, you're talking OG, you're talking born with the being. Now, what's that? You tell me. What does it mean to be born with the being? To be natural by laws, to have the being, right? Yeah, produced by nature. And nature, well, when you talk nature, now you're talking the creator. Because when you talk nature, you better be talking about the creator. Managa. In a general sense, whatever is made or produced, the word comprehends all the works of God, the universe, the creator.
Ever dreamed of experiencing the rich history of Black Wall Street? This March, I'm offering an exclusive chance to visit Tulsa's Greenwood District, where history was made. Join us as we take a powerful tour led by living descendants of the Black Wall Street Massacre, explore the inspiring Black Wall Street Museum opened in 2021, and discover untold stories. You'll also enjoy mouth-watering meals at Black-owned Southern restaurants and visit historic landmarks that honor our legacy. Don't wait, spaces are limited. Email me now at mike@nativebblackancestry.com to secure your spot. Let's celebrate history and build a connection to our roots.
So you can't talk nature? without talking Hawa, the creator. And you can't talk native without talking nature, which is the original. And you can't talk native without talking about the American, which is a native born with the being, which happen to be the originals or copper color khans they found here, because the khan in Hebrew means priest. So we're just talking the priesthood. And who stole the priesthood? Whoever now wants to apply it to their descendants. Papu Bu Dum Diverses, right? 1452. Apply this to our successors is to apply this to our descendants, to search out, vanquish, steal all your goods, movable and immovable. Take your kingdom, dukedoms, and principalities and apply it to their descendants, their successors. That's what it says in 1452. Pope Nicholas issued the Papal Bull, Doom, or Dumbass Diverses, right? Papal Bulldogs to take down all y'all. Ravishing mammals issue Vatican papals, tricking Adam and Eve to bite the Vatican apple.
Ooh, y'all don't hear him though. Y'all listening, but y'all don't hear him though. Hold up, I gotta run that back. He just dropped some bars on you. It might have just went over your head.
Or Dumbass Diverses, right? Papal Bulldogs to take down all y'all. Ravishing mammals issue Vatican papals, tricking Adam and Eve to bite the Vatican apple.
Ooh-wee. That was some bars. Man said, Papal bulldogs to take down all y'all. Ravishing mammals issue Vatican papals, tricking Adam and Eve to bite the Vatican apple. Oh, when you know as much as I do about world history and American history, you realize, Black folks, we got ops. We do need to slide. And then we do need to spin the block. But we got to realize and recognize who our opposition really is. Op number one is the Vatican. Op number two is, I'd say, the Knights Templar. Number three has to be the Smithsonian. Number four, I'd say the Spanish crown, but really all of the European monarchs are inbred cousins of sorts. So if we go back to the source, oh no, we can't start talking about the Nephilim and shit. We can't get too biblical now. We just gonna list the Vatican and the Smithsonian and the Spanish crown as the main opposition. Y'all ain't ready for that Nephilim talk.
Khan is the Khan. They stole the Khan and applied it to their descendants. Or whatever hijacks are born here, like a parasite moves like a parasite. One of the top comments that kept coming in is these people moving like a parasite, stealing these titles. So whether we talk American or we talk Mexican, we're still talking native. I said whether we're talking American or Mexican, we're still talking native. Etymology. So if I talk Mexican, I'm still talking native, boss. But now you're native of Mexico. And the Meshi is the Moshe, is the Moses. And the Khans of Moses are the Meshi Khans, the priesthood of Moshe, which are the she, right? The XI is the Olmec, is the she. So when he's talking about Nagas being here before Columbus, you're talking about Olmec flow, man. You're talking about Texas Sylvanus, you know what I'm saying, Forbidden Histories of America flow. The Mashika, the Mashika, right? The Khans, the Meshikans are these Olmeca. What happens to the Olmec? What happened to the Olmec? They reclassified them as black, man.
Come on, where did the Olmec go? Where did the Olmec go? We supposed to believe they just disappeared? They just, what, whoosh, vanished? All right. The Olmec has living descendants. You know that, right? And those living descendants have been reclassified and made victims of paper genocide and shipped to different territories in the Americas. And nowadays, we call them African American, even though a lot of them have zero African ancestry. Let's talk about it, y'all. Let's talk about it. And until you've traced your ancestral roots, until you've done your genealogy, you really don't know where you come from. And if you need help, you know where to go.
So glad that, you know what I'm saying, I even, you know what I mean, experienced this. I'm glad I experienced you from, you know what I mean, enlighten me from the internet to, you know what I mean, online, getting one-on-one in depth, giving me a lot of information that I can take back to my people as well. And hopefully we could both get everything meshing with everything with the lineage and everything with the genealogy. This is no scam. This is all real. This is a real homeboy that put it down. He mean what he say. He got receipts and he put it down. He stands on business. Straight up. One love.
My name is Frances Tuck, and I contacted Mike from Mike TV on YouTube because I wanted to find out about my family's Native American history that I believed existed. Through the research that I was able to do through Mike TV, I was able to find out that our name is indeed on the registry. I had a consultation with Mike today, and because of his advice and the research that he has done, I am now confident that I'm able to find my family's roots in the Native American history database. Thank you, Mike.
And now these black men are getting their recognition. We don't need y'all to recognize us after all this time. But it does validate the recon after all this time, that whether you call it Afro-Mexican or Afro-indigenous, you're talking about niggas that's been battling on the front lines in social media and in real time telling niggas that, no, we from here. We ain't trying to take nothing away from, you know, somebody else. We ain't trying to, you know, hurt nobody's feelings by claiming us, but you've been lied to about you and your origins and who you are. Unless you're native, right? Unless you're native, unless you're natural by law, well, now we're just talking nature, because that's the work of the Creator. Now we can talk Adam and Eve, right? Because that's the work of the Creator. That's the image of Hawa. We mean that they are produced by God, the Creator, when we talk nature. Well, that's what happens when you talk native, because you're produced by nature, the Creator, the original. So when he's saying, oh, you know, Columbus wasn't just here with just Mexicans. Well, just Mexicans is a misnomer, because a Mexican is a native. So a just Mexican is an original. And Columbus did come here and see these originals. They still want a title for themselves, so they're separating us off and breaking us off into Afro, right? And of course it's offensive, but we understand. They just holding on to something. They holding on to American, right? They can't call us American. We gotta be African American. We can't be native and original to America, even though we're the copper color races brought here. No, found here, boss. You found so many of us, we the definition. And you found so many natives of Mexico that they're the cons. They're the Mexicans, the cons.
Let's talk about it, y'all. Let's talk about it. Come on, the truth is much, much stranger than fiction. And don't touch that dial. As soon as this broadcast ends, there's going to be a countdown. The next stream will begin automatically. I will see you guys over there in just a moment. Stay tuned.